Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, sorry, I'm just checking my charger to make sure it's charging. Okay, it's not charging, but I can go ahead. So, hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Irabor. I do not have a slide, so it's going to be a discussion. And if you have any questions, you can easily just interrupt me and ask your questions. So, my name is Rachel Irabor. I'm a Microsoft MVP, a Power Platform, and a Dynamics 365 CRM developer. So, I work with Power Platform applications, Dynamics, and also I love and I'm passionate about everything community. So I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for Microsoft certification. So there's a difference between a certification and a professional certification. So because I think that people get this wrong, having a professional certification is different from you having a certification. And I can explain. When I talk about certification, I say, okay, maybe you complete a course. Maybe you complete a course on LinkedIn, and then maybe you complete a course on maybe a soft skill or something, and then you are given a certification like congratulations, you completed this course. Every other thing they write there, that is a certification. A professional certification like the Microsoft certification is quite different from a certification. With if you have certifications and you place it inside of your resume or your CV, that does not really count. But if you have a professional certification, it does not have to be a Microsoft certification. It can be anything on Google Cloud or any other certification. If you have a professional certification in your CV or your resume, when recruiters or managers see it, they can be like, okay, this person has this exact skill set. Maybe it's a certification on Azure AI or a certification on Azure. They can be like, okay, this person has knowledge on Azure or this person has knowledge on Azure AI. So your certification and your professional certification, they are two different things. And another mistake that people make a lot is that when they are preparing for certifications like professional certification, they just think about it that, okay, I just started, like for instance, now, I just started learning Microsoft Azure. I do not even know so much about it. And after a month into Microsoft Azure, the first thing I try to do is to write a certification. It's not bad, but I feel that you need to actually know the technology before rushing into writing a certification, because when you write a certification, can you prove it that you know like what that certification is covering? Can you prove it that you know it? Like when you are in an interview, because I've seen a lot of job posting online where they request for certain certifications. Like this candidate should have a PL 200 certification, this candidate should have PL 900, should have DP 300 and stuff like that. So when you come to the interview, can you prove that what that particular certification is covering, that you know it? Like you can sit down and answer questions concerning that certification, because people make this mistake where they think that, okay, since I'm learning this technology, I should just pack all the certification concerning that technology and get all of them, and not even get them the right way, either using dumps like questions online to actually finish it or stuff like that, and not even reading a learning part concerning that certification. So these are the wrong ways that people look at certification. Certification is very important because a lot of companies, it's when you are, especially as a job applicant, that will give you an edge over every other person, especially in the job market we are currently in right now. That will give you an edge over at least the people you are competing with for that job role. But the question you need to always ask yourself is that, I have this certification. Can I prove it? I have the certification. Can I prove that I know what I am doing? Even though it's a fundamental certification, if somebody asks me a question concerning this certification, like maybe a Power Platform fundamental certification, a Microsoft Power Platform fundamental certification, you write it and then you have it. Okay, so if you go for an interview and the person asks you like fundamental knowledge about Power Platform, they ask you, okay, what is Power Apps used for? If I want to build this solution, what kind of application I can use, and you do not have an answer for it. It's not nice. You do not have a proof that you actually wrote that certification. So the first thing I want you to just think about is that there's a difference between a professional certification and a certification. And also, before going for a certification, actually, even though you don't know 100% of that technology, at least have 40 to 30% about it before venturing into the certification. Because at this stage I am right now, I've seen a lot of people who are like 4 years, 5 years into their careers, and they do not have any professional certification, and they are doing fine. They just have, because jobs, all these companies, what they need is your skills. Can you meet this? Can you meet clients' requirements? Can you do the job? That is what they want. So it's not about being there everywhere just to write just to write a certification. Let's put it generalized. Just to write a certification. And then when we're talking about preparing for a certification, so if we look at it this way, if you actually know the technology, like even though you have fundamental knowledge about the technology, if you have knowledge about the technology, getting prepared for the certification will be a little bit easier because you're already used to, if it's Microsoft Azure, you're already used to the Azure Studio and every other thing that you are going to be using. And then you can go on learning paths, try to build solutions, try to build applications. Because when we talk about Microsoft certification, most times it's complex because the kind of questions they ask you, you need to have used that technology to be able to answer. You need to have already used that technology to be able to answer. So the first thing first is that know at least have an account to that technology before you write a certification. Have an account. I've seen a lot of people where they have they're in a particular career path, but they have all the certification in this world. The thing is that it's not just having a certification. Can you prove it? Like if they call you now, can you prove it that yes, I know something in this particular career path certification I selected? So it's very important. And certifications too are good in the job market, like I said, especially with this job market we have right now that is very difficult. But with also having it, you need to know what you are doing. And I'll advise you that you should, if you have written any certification, please, especially when it relates to the role you are applying for, try and add it. Have a line that has certification, professional certification, and place it there. Your normal certification, you do not need it. Certification, all those certification you do on LinkedIn or certification you do on some platforms, and they just tell you congratulations for completing this course. This is your certification. Celebrate it because it's not easy to start a course and then complete it. Because me, I've started a lot of courses that I've not completed till now. So it's not easy starting a course and then complete it. It's something to celebrate about, but it's not a professional certification, and that should not be in your CV. So a professional certification, that is what you need to have in your CV. Do you have any questions?
None for now. Please, you can continue.
Okay, so those are the
Yes.
things that, yeah, thank you very much. So those are the things you need to know is that your certification is very important, but you need to know what you are doing. You need to know what you are doing, write your certification. And when I even did a YouTube video concerning certifications. I'm doing a certification video on Pure 900 if you're into Power Platform. So if you are preparing for a certification, we have, at least in tech, we have different ways certification is being written. It's either written visually or it is written in a physical center. So if you're trying to write a certification in a physical center, if your exam is by 9:10, you try to go early, at least by 7 or 7:30, you're already there. And then you have your identification with you. It can be your passport, it can be your driver's license, or whatsoever you have, and you can go for your exam. You just have to sit. They'll give you a laptop to use, and most times they might just give you paper and pencil to write with. So then, if you're writing a visual exam is an exam that you can write from anywhere. You can write the exam from your office, from school, from your house, wherever you want to write the exam. But you just need to make sure that the environment you're writing the exam, it's not very loud. Because even me, if I'm writing a certification and somebody's playing music, maybe in the next door, somebody's playing music, I get easily distracted and I can't read anything on my screen anymore. So apart from that, too, you have a proctor looking at you. You have a proctor looking at you, and also they are trying to make sure that you do not cheat the exam or do anything that is against the rules of the exam. So all of that. So just try to make sure that if you are going for a certification, you don't have to do everything. I know, if especially if you are just starting your career, or even already starting your career, you get to a point where you decide that, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to shift to a different career path. That is fine, but always make sure that you have a little knowledge about a technology before writing a certification. Like in Microsoft now, Microsoft has different fundamental certification, and a lot of people they have all the certifications. But with you having all the fundamentals of that certification, can you prove it that if they call you they ask you questions or they tell you to do something, can you do it? It's not just having certifications. It's good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's good having certifications. And like I said, it gives you an edge when you're looking for a job, but know your onions. And okay, for a student, do you have to finish your education before starting those certifications? Writing a certification does not have a time. If you're a student, whatsoever part you are in right now, you can write a certification. My first certification I wrote, I was still a student when I wrote that certification. And then Microsoft was doing the free 100% off for students. That was the first certification I wrote. I wrote a free certification. So even though you are in school, you can write a certification, but just have little knowledge about what you are doing, even though it's 30%, even though it's 20%, because it's not possible to know 100% about a technology. Because even people that created that technology, they don't even know 100% because a lot of people out there actually extend their technology. So even though it's 20%, you can write the certification, but don't just have no knowledge about it. And then the first thing you want to do is to write a certification. I would not advise you to go for it. Yeah. And when we're talking about certifications for resumes, I think there's a session concerning that, but I just wanted to point it out. When we're talking about certification for resumes, you can have, they have, especially for recruiters, they have a system they use to check resumes. So you need to make sure your resume is simple. You have different line. You have line for skills. You have line for skills. If you have projects, especially if you do not have a job previously and you are looking for job opportunities, you can have a line for your projects. Even volunteering too is an experience. Even me now, on my CV, I have volunteering. I have it as leadership and volunteering on my CV. Everything I have done, all the contributions I have done. I don't want to jump too much, but all the contributions I have done, I have it inside of my CV. I have my work experience inside of my CV, and I have my certifications inside of my CV. And if you want to check more about certifications, you can actually check online to see about job opportunities because I see them a lot. I see jobs having job description where they ask for certification. It can be maybe a data analyst, and you see inside the job description they have that, okay, the client should have a this type of data certification. So it definitely gives you an edge, but just try to make sure that you know what you are doing. Like you know this technology, you have an account, you have already created an account. If it's Azure, you have a Microsoft Azure account. You have a If it's not Microsoft Azure, if it's Power Platform, you have an account. Whatever certification you are going for, at least have it does not have to be 100 because it's not even possible to have a 100% knowledge about the technology. So just try and know something about it and you are going to be fine. I don't know if anybody has any question. It's a discussion. If you have any question, please ask me. Feel free to ask me. So, how do Microsoft Cloud certifications compare with those from other providers like AWS or Google Cloud in terms of career impact. I think they all have the same career impact. It depends on what career you are going for. If you're a person in the cloud career, like you are going for cloud, I advise you to have your Azure, also have something on Google Cloud or AWS. They have the same impact. There's no difference between them. If you are even applying for, if you're applying for a job that needs just Azure, if you're applying for a job that needs just Azure Cloud, and the company sees that you have just Google Cloud on your CV, it's fine because with that they already understand that you understand how the cloud is, and you can easily transfer the knowledge you have on Google Cloud into Azure Cloud. So they both have the same impact. They all have the same impact. There's no difference between them. They are all professional certifications. As far as a professional certification, it is not a certification. They all have the same impact. But I think one thing to also know is that most, especially for Microsoft partners, they because they are Microsoft partners, they do more of Microsoft technology. They value Microsoft certifications, but they are all the same thing. Okay, are there internal resources or mentors available to assist with certification preparation? I I think Microsoft Learn is a great place for certification preparation. If like now, if you're going for PL 900, they have an exam sandbox to show you how the environment looks like on your certification day, especially if it's your first Microsoft certification. They have, if you go to the learning part, you see they have a sandbox. They have practice assessments you can go through. They have um they have practice assessments you can go through. They also have learning parts. They have learning parts on it, and they have videos. If you're a person that you do not like reading, you can watch the videos on the learning parts. But about mentors, I'm not sure about mentors. But it's something you can, certification is something that anybody can prepare for if you put your mind into it. If you give yourself now that, okay, like me, I'm currently preparing for a certification in October. I booked for the certification earlier this month. All I just have to do now is that I'm reading, I'm watching videos on LinkedIn, um, trying to catch up with that certification because it's something I actually do at work on my day to day. So I'm just trying to catch up to make sure that I pass it. Yeah. So preparing for a certification does not really need mentorship, but you can watch videos, and maybe you can also, if you have questions, if there's something you are confused about, you can reach out to people in that same career path and they will help you out. Yeah.
Yeah, agree with you, Rachel. I think in addition to all that you said, that's why we have communities. That's why we have
Yeah.
Microsoft User Group. Yeah,
Yes.
so reach out to members of the community and they would also be of help and guide you through your certification process.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. And
thanks, Dave.
yeah, we have another question. How do I balance work and study for certifications if I have a full-time job? It's hard. I'm definitely going to tell you this. It's hard. I was preparing for a certification that was this is 2024, right? I was preparing for a certification earlier 2022, no, 2023. And I had a lot going on. I had work, family and stuff, a lot. I had a lot going on then, and I was trying to catch up with my current role now. I was trying to catch up because I resumed very late, so I was trying to catch up. So it was kind of hard with work and then everything that was happening, and now still preparing for a certification. But the thing is that what helps a bit is if you want to prepare for a certification, the time you want to prepare for that certification, prepare for a certification that you know that like you use this tool every day. Like the things that are inside the certification, you do it every day. It's not going to be so difficult because then I was working with the I was because I jumped from different technology to different technology. Then I was working with Dataverse, like I was always on Dataverse, I was always on Dynamics. So Dynamics 365 CRM Fundamental was very easy, and it was the easiest exam I've ever written. You get, because I was doing it every day. So if you want to, as a person that is working a full-time job where you have your 9 to 5 or whatsoever time you start and close, and you do not even have time for yourself, talk less of the time to write a certification. I advise you to go for certifications that you use every day. It will be easy for you to write. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Thanks. Yeah.
And do we have any other question? I'm just waiting for questions because it's a conversation. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, if you have any questions, everything I've said, after I talked about certifications, professional certifications, I talked about certifications in the business, in the job markets. I talked about how to prepare for your certification, because if you have knowledge about the tool, it will be easy for you to prepare for it. And one thing too to know is that if you fail, if you write a certification and you do not pass, it's fine. That's not the end of the world. You even need to be happy, because as you have written that certification, whatever score you have is something to celebrate. Because next time when you are coming again for that certification, you already know that you have experience on how the question looks like, and you know your weak points. Maybe it's a certification on PL 900 and you're not very good to Power BI. Okay, you're like, okay, next time I need to work on knowing Power BI to prepare for this certification again. So if you fail, it's not the end of the world. It's something you need to celebrate about. It's an experience that you have gotten. So that's it. And if you have any question about certification in the job market, about the difference between professional certification and certifications. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just ask. Yeah, because I'm prepared and ready to answer your questions. Okay, okay. How I landed the job was I actually was not looking for a job then. When I got the job, I was just like I started my journey in Power Platform. That was in November of 2021, and I started the job interview in January, February, March. I think in March or April. Either March, I think April. I started the job interview the beginning of April. So you can see it's a very short time between me. I just started my career in tech. Like I had no idea of how tech was. The only thing I could do on a laptop before I started, I could only on a laptop and watch film. Finish. That's the only thing I could do when I started my journey in tech. So what actually helped me was that I was posting online. I was posting about my journey. I was posting about things I have learned for that day. Like maybe for instance now, I completed a learning part on Microsoft Learn. I'll talk about what I learned, what the Microsoft Learn that learning part talked about, what I got from it. I was working on projects, I was posting them online, I was contributing to the community, I was active everywhere. Like if I'm in a community, I always make sure that I'm doing something there. I'm not quiet. If I'm in a community, you will know I'm if I'm in a community, you will know I'm there. Because I always I try to make sure I try to make sure I'm active, because the for me the community is like an opportunity for me to learn and to actually also grow too. So how it happened was that I was posting on LinkedIn. This person just sent me a request on LinkedIn. I accepted, and the person sent me a message. I think because I'm very slow with answering messages, but the person sent me a message, and I got to the message, and the person asked me like, Rachel, have you applied for this job? I'm like, no, I have. And that was the first time I heard about the company, because I did not really have so much knowledge about tech or names of companies. I only knew about Microsoft and some few other companies. So that was the first time I heard about the company. And the person was like, Rachel, I've never talked to the person before. I did not know the person. That was the first time I talked to the person. Person just sent me a message. Rachel, have you applied for this job? I said no. Person I said, okay, send me your CV, gave me gave me his email, and then I sent my CV to him. That was how the job interview started, and then I got an offer. And I think I spent a few months in Nigeria. I was waiting because the visa processing in Nigeria is kind of difficult. So that's how I got the job. I was waiting. I was doing other things in Nigeria before I got here to Malta. Yeah. So it was just sharing my journey online that made it happen.